The history of the universe. Chapter 1. Before there was a star to shine, before there were angels singing, there was a heaven, the home of the eternal, the only Yah. In perfect wisdom, love, and glory, the eternal lived an eternity before achieving his beauty, the creation of the universe. The countless beings that comprise the creation were all conceived with great affection. From the inner atom to gigantic galaxies, all received his supreme regard. As a lover of music, Yahweh conceived the universe as a grand orchestra, so that under his rule it would vibrate with harmonious chords of justice and peace. For every creation, he composed a love song. Yahweh was very happy because his dreams were about to be realized. Moving himself with majesty, he began his work of creation. His hands first shaped a world of light, and on it a mountain blazing, over which would forever be established the throne of the universe. The sacred mountain was named Zion, and at this base of the throne the Eternal did pour out a crystal clear river to represent that life from him would flow to all creatures. He then created a beautiful paradise that stretched for hundreds of miles around Mount Zion and called the Paradise Eden. South of heaven, on both banks of the River of Life, were built many mansions adorned with precious stones, which were intended for the angels, the ministers of the kingdom of light. Circling Eden and its angelic mansions, Yahuwah built a wall of jasper lampposts, along which could be seen large portals of pearls. With joy, the Eternal beheld the capital of which he had dreamed. The city in its splendor was adorned like a bride, ready to receive her husband. The great architect affectionately called it Jerusalem, City of Peace. Yahuwah was then to bring into existence the first rational creature. It would be a glorious angel, the most honorable of all. Adorned by the brilliance of gemstones, this angel would live on Mount Zion as the representative of the King of Kings to the universe. With much love, the Creator began to model the firstborn of the angels. All wisdom applied to form it, making it perfect. He tenderly granted him life, and the beautiful angel arose, like awaking from a deep sleep, and opened his eyes and beheld the face of his Maker. With joy, the Eternal showed him the beauties of heaven and told him of his plans, which were beginning to materialize. To be led to the place of his abode near the throne, the Prince of the Angels was grateful, and with melodious voice sang his first song of praise. From the heights of Zion, Jerusalem in its vastness and splendor unraveled itself in the eyes of the beautiful angel. The river of life that serenely glided through the city resembled a broad avenue, mirroring the beauty of the Garden of Eden and the angelic mansions. Involving the firstborn of the angels with his robe of light, the Eternal began to speak to him of the principles that were to govern the universal kingdom. Physical and moral laws should be respected to the fullest extent of the divine government. Moral laws would be summarized in two principles: love Yahuwah above all things and your neighbor like yourself. Every rational creature should be a channel through which the Eternal could well have another life and light. Thus, the universe would grow in harmony, happiness, and peace. In the kingdom of Yahuwah, the laws would not be enforced with rigor. The subjects were free. Obedience should arise spontaneously in a gesture of appreciation and gratitude. In this realm of freedom, disobedience would also be possible. The result of such behavior would be the depletion of vital forces. After revealing to the beautiful angel the laws of his government, the Eternal entrusted him with a mission of great responsibility: to be the protector of those laws, and that he should honor them and reveal them to the universe that was about to be created. With a heart overflowing with love for Yahuwah, this angel would be a model of perfection. He was Lucifer, the light bearer. The Prince of Angels, grateful for everything, prostrated himself before the loving king, promising him eternal fidelity. Yahuwah continued his work of creation, bringing into existence innumerable hosts of angels, the ministers of the kingdom of light. The holy city was populated by these radiant, happy and grateful creatures who united their voices in beautiful songs of praise to the Creator. Yahuwah now brought into existence the universe which, full of life, would be around his throne by his order. A thunder echoed by all parties gave rise, as if by magic, to countless galaxies filled with worlds and suns, havens of life and joy, all harmoniously turning around Mount Zion. When witnessing such a great achievement of the Supreme King, the angelic hosts fell down, illuminated by a song of triumph that echoed through space in a salute to life. The whole universe joined this song of gratitude with the promise of eternal fidelity to the Creator. Guided by the Eternal, the angels came to know the riches of the universe. In this tour, they marveled before the vastness of the kingdom of light. They met worlds inhabited by happy creatures who received them. The freedom of choice, through which the creatures could demonstrate their love for the Creator, was as precious as life, and it demanded a test of loyalty. In order to reveal it, the Eternal led the hosts through space and approached an abyss of darkness that contrasted with the immense brightness of the galaxies. By far, this gulf had proved insignificant in the eyes of angels as a blip without light, but as they came closer, it was shown in its enormity. The Creator, who revealed to the angels every step of the mysteries of his kingdom, stood there silent, as if guarding a secret to himself. The darkness of that abyss represented the test of fidelity. Turning to the hosts, the Eternal solemnly said, "All the treasures of light will be open to your notice, except for the secrets hidden by darkness. You are free to serve me or not. Loving the light, you will be connected to the source of life." With these words, Yahuwah made clear the difference between light and darkness, good and evil. The universe was free to choose its destiny. The History of the Universe. Chapter 2. The long-cherished dream of the Creator became a reality. Now, as a loving Father, he led his creatures through an eternity of peace and harmony. Due to compliance with the laws of Yahuwah, the universe was expanding into happiness and glory. There was a strong bond of love, which strongly united all. Rational beings, endowed with the capacity of an infinite development, found unspeakable pleasure in learning the inexhaustible treasures of divine wisdom and sharing them with others. They were as channels through which the source of eternal life harbored all love and light. In Jerusalem, the ministers of the kingdom gathered before the sovereign king, always ready to fulfill his purpose. Lucifer was the one through whom the Eternal made manifest his designs. After receiving a new revelation, he promptly conveyed it to the angelic hosts. These, in turn, shared it with all creation. Angels would swiftly fly to the capital of the planets, where in large assemblies gathered representatives of other worlds. In many of these assemblies, Lucifer was present and filled the participants with joy and admiration. Perfect in all virtues, he captivated others with his sympathy. No other angel could reveal like him the mysteries of eternal love. The universe, fed by the fountain of life, was expanding in an eternity of perfect peace. Obedience to divine law was the foundation of all progress and happiness. While mindful of free will, it never climbed to the heart of any creature the desire to move away from the Creator. So it was for a long time, until a problem erupted in the life of the one who was closest to the Eternal. Lucifer, who devoted his life to understanding the mysteries of light, was gradually drawn to the darkness. The king of the universe, in whose eyes nothing can be hidden, sadly observed his footsteps descending the path that leads to death. At first, a little curiosity led Lucifer to approach that deep abyss. Contemplating it, he began to wonder why he could not understand its complexity. Returning to his place of honor beside the throne, he bowed himself before the divine king, beseeching him, "Father, give me to know the secrets of darkness as I reveal the light." Before the request of the beautiful angel, the Eternal, in an expressive voice with sadness, said, "My son, you were raised to the light that is life."
An award-winning trading app that is as easy to
Convinced that the Creator would not reveal the treasures of darkness, Lucifer decided to understand the puzzle by himself. He thought himself able to do so. With this sad decision, the Prince of Angels allowed to arise in his heart a stain of sin that would bring catastrophe to the universe. Only Yahweh knew what was in the heart of Lucifer. The angel who was created to be the bearer of light was divorced in thoughts of the beneficent Creator who, in an effort to prevent the disaster, besought him to stay with him. A tremendous fight began to catch up in his heart. The desire to know the meaning of darkness was immense, however. That loving Father pleaded with him because he did not want to lose the tortured soul. Seeing the suffering his attitude caused the Creator, Lucifer sometimes showed repentance, but soon returned to fall. Before creating the universe, Yahweh had already foreseen the possibility of a rebellion. The risk of granting freedom to creatures was immense, but without this gift, life would be meaningless. Yahweh did not want to rule over robots, programmed to only do his will. He wanted obedience that was the result of recognition and love, so he decided to take the big risk. While Lucifer desired to continue the search of the meaning of darkness, he did not intend to leave the light. He strove to achieve a combination of good and evil, hoping that in the realm of the Eternal they could coexist separately. Finally, with a feeling of elation, he devised a deceptive theory that aimed to present to the universe a new system of government that was different than the rule of the Eternal. He called his theory the knowledge of good and evil. Structured with logic, the science of good and evil proved attractive to Lucifer, who hoped it would unveil a sense of life superior to that offered by the Creator, whose kingdom enabled only experimental knowledge of good. In the new system, there would be a balance between good and evil, between love and selfishness, between light and darkness. Throughout the time that the knowledge of good and evil had matured in his mind, Lucifer knew to keep it secret from the universe. He remained at his post of honor, fulfilling the function of the light bearer. However, for how much he tried to pretend, his face no longer showed joy in serving the Eternal. The Divine King, who suffered in silence, hoped to prepare the rational creatures through his revelations of love for the big event approaching. He knew that many would hearken to temptation, turning their back on him. Through the night of the ordeal, however, the true believers would stand. those who served the Creator not by interest but by love. Seeing that the test time had come and that Lucifer was ready to betray him before the universe, the Eternal, who had never before ceased to reveal the treasures of his wisdom, became quiet and contemplative. The silence did revive the heart of the hosts of the memory of that first outing, when, after showing them the riches of the kingdom of light, Yahuwah became silent before the abyss of darkness. They remembered his words, "All the treasures of light will be open to your notice, except for the secrets hidden by darkness. You are free to serve me or not. Loving the light, you will be connected to the source of life." Lucifer, who had come to covet the throne of Yahuwah, asked him why he was silent. The Creator, staring at him with infinite sadness, said, "The hour of darkness has come. You are free to achieve your purposes." Seeing that the moment for the propagation of his theory had arrived, Lucifer summoned them for a special meeting. The hosts, eager to know the meaning of the silence of the Father, took their places near the magnificent angel, who had always revealed to them the treasures of the kingdom of light. Lucifer began his speech, extolling, as usual, the government of the Eternal. In a large retrospective, he reminded them of the great revelations that had enriched them through eternity. He explained that the silent celestial was an indication that the universe had reached the fullness of knowledge from the light. The Eternal's silence then opened the way for the understanding of mysteries not yet probed, hitherto kept beyond the limits of his government. Surprised, the hosts heard of Lucifer's experience and knowledge of darkness. With eloquence, he spoke to them of the knowledge of good and evil, and showed them how it was the path to the greatest achievements. The effect of his words soon made itself felt throughout the universe. The question was decisive and explosive, generating the first contention. Rational beings with that evidence had to choose to stay only with the knowledge of light, which Lucifer claimed had reached its limits, or to venture into the knowledge of good and evil. Initially, the angels struggled with the matter, and soon after the entire universe was challenged. It appeared that the knowledge of good and evil would garner most of the creatures, but gradually many who initially became excited by that theory awakened to the illusion of it and reaffirmed their allegiance to the kingdom of light. At the end of that conflict, which dragged on for a long time, a third of the stars from the sky aligned with Lucifer, and the remaining, still shaken by that evidence, beside the Eternal. The knowledge of good and evil was trumpeted by Lucifer as a new system of government. But how would they exercise it if the Eternal still reigned in Zion? They needed to find a way to push him away. The council formed by the rebellious angels decided to finally ask him for the throne for a certain time, in which they could demonstrate the excellence of the new system of government. If the universe were improved, the new system would be established forever. Otherwise, it would return the domain to the Creator. So it was that Lucifer, accompanied by his hosts, arrogantly approached the suffering Father and asked him their request. The Eternal was not ambitious, he just wanted good for his creatures. If the knowledge of good and evil actually consisted in a greater good, he would not oppose its implementation and would give the throne to his offenders. But he knew the path would lead to unhappiness and death. Moved by his protective love, the Creator denied the request of the rebel hosts, which turned away angry. Denied the throne, Lucifer and his hosts began to accuse the divine king, claiming his government was one of tyranny. They claimed that his decision to stay on the throne to be the clearest demonstration of his arbitrariness. Hadn't he granted them freedom of choice? But now he had neutralized it, preventing them from putting in place a better system of government. The charges of the rebel hosts reverberated throughout the universe, making it appear that the government of the Eternal was unfair. This brought deep distress to those who remained faithful to the kingdom of light. Not knowing how to refute such accusations, these creatures, muted by the moral pain, longed for the time when new revelations coming from the Creator could clarify to them the mysteries of this great conflict. Accusations of blasphemy and from the rebel hosts reached the climax when the Eternal, in a surprising gesture, rose from his throne as if he were ready to leave it. The infidels, in anticipation of their desired achievement, quieted down, while a sense of awe in the hearts of his loyal subjects were penetrated with light. Would Yahuwah give up the domain of all creation because of these vile allegations? According to the logic from which Lucifer grounded his teachings, there was no other option left to the Creator. With tremendous expectation, the universe followed in the footsteps of Yahuwah. In a gesture of humility, the Creator divested himself of his crown and his royal robe, deposing them on the targeted throne. In his countenance there was not an expression of resentment or anger, but of infinite love and sadness. Solemnly, Yahuwah proclaimed that the decisive moment had come when every creature should seal his decision to the side of light or darkness. A widespread revelation warned of the consequences of a break with the source of life. With the look of tenderness the Creator contemplated his children. It was a look of humility, full of love, begging them to stay at his side. Countless creatures, excited, corresponded to his kindly look, while a crowd stood apart crestfallen. Lucifer and his followers were aware of the seriousness of the moment. It was still possible to go back on their plans and submit to the forgiving Heavenly Father who always loved them. While they dejectedly considered this final decision, Lucifer and his followers heard the song of those who, in recognition and gratitude, placed themselves beside the Eternal. The last battle was fought in the hearts of the dissenters. Yahuwah, in yearning contemplation of his rebellious children, raised his voice in a painful lament. My children, now I cannot call you that. I wanted so much to have you in my arms. I remember when I created you with care. You appeared happy and perfect in chords of hope in eternal harmony. I lived for you, covering you with glory and power. You were my joy. Why have your hearts changed so much? What else could I have done to make you stay with me? Now my soul bleeds in pain for this eternal separation. How will I look at the empty seats where so often you raised your voices in jubilant festive hosannas without there coming to my mind a mix of happiness and pain? Infinite longing invades my being, and I know it will be eternal. Today my heart broke and broke up. I will bear the scars forever. After proclaiming this in tears of painful mourning, the Eternal, addressing himself to Lucifer, the cause of all this evil, said, You received a name of honor when you were created. Now you will no longer be called Lucifer, but Satan, the enemy of the Creator and his laws. After lamenting the destruction of the rebel armies, the Eternal, in slow steps, went into the Garden of Eden, leaving the place of the universal throne. Where would his dwelling place be now? The hosts of the faithful accompanied his reverent steps of mysterious abandonment, unveiling a future that seemed difficult, full of suffering and humiliation. Would the rebels occupy the divine throne, desecrating it as the dominion of sin? This quest tortured the heart of the Eternal subjects. Leaving his beloved city, the Eternal himself led the glories of the universe toward the great gulf of darkness, about which he had hitherto grown silent. There he stopped, once again muted while he seemed to read in the darkness a future of great conflict. In the sadness and suffering expressed in the Eternal's countenance, the faithful could finally understand the meaning of that mysterious abyss. It consisted of a symbolic representation of the kingdom of rebellion. In the saddened face of Yahuwah, there finally manifested a glow that the faithful cheered. Raising his powerful arms against the darkness, he commanded loudly, "Let there be light." Immediately, the light of his presence filled the deep abyss, and triumphing over darkness, revealed an unfinished world covered by crystal-clear waters.